This is All In with Chris Hayes, November 4th, 2019.
Thank you.
Joining you now, one of the members of Congress investigating the president's abuse of power, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. He's a member of both the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committee, which are part of the committees that are undertaking the impeachment inquiry. Congressman, let me start today with the no-shows from that White House. 4 officials, I believe, did not appear today, citing, I think, executive privilege, the White House not wanting them to appear. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you, Chris, for your question. The American people should be asking, what is the White House trying to hide? If they really thought that this was a perfect phone call, as Donald Trump alleges, then they would be happy to have the White House officials come and explain about that phone call, explain what the administration was doing with regard to Ukraine. Instead, they're obstructing witnesses, they're telling them not to come, and it's very unfortunate we're not going to hear their stories today.
What do you make about the revelations in Marie Yovanovitch's testimony that at one point the Secretary of State says that he will call Sean Hannity to try to find out what the deal is with this whisper campaign of slander that is being directed at her to get her removed?
So all these witness depositions being released, they're going to show one central narrative, which is that Donald Trump was using the levers of governmental power to benefit himself personally and politically instead of benefiting U.S. national security. And in addition, he was trying to run this shadow foreign policy using people like Rudy Giuliani and people outside the government to try to pressure Ukraine to launch these bogus investigations. One of those folks that got caught up may have been Sean Hannity, and it is quite disturbing that his name would even be involved in any of this.
Well, what do you make of Mike Pompeo and how he comes across in the testimony that was released today by both his sort of closest deputy, who resigned essentially in protest of Pompeo's inability to protect folks at the State Department, and Yovanovitch's testimony?
I believe Secretary Pompeo is going to go down in history as one of the worst secretaries of state ever. He is not backing and sticking up for his foreign career service officers. He has completely taken the administration's line of obstruction. He has, in fact, tried to cover up what Donald Trump has done by preventing his officials from coming to Congress. Thank goodness many of them are ignoring him and coming to Congress and telling their stories.
Do you think that the Republicans, your colleagues who've been sitting in on these depositions, are going to change their tune now that the deposition transcripts are being released?
Oh, absolutely. They've changed their defenses multiple times. First, they started with hearsay. Then they started with a process attack. Then they started blaming Adam Schiff. Then they said all this stuff is behind closed doors. Not that the witness deposition testimonies are coming out. They're shifting again, I think, now to really saying the quid pro quo is okay. And with that, they're going to lose their last shreds of integrity.
The president has targeted some of the folks who have testified, including Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. He has called for unmasking the name or revealing the identity of the whistleblower, which is protected by the law. How much do you take this seriously, and how much do you think it's actually a sort of concrete threat to these proceedings?
So we know that the whistleblower's identity is no longer relevant because everything he said has now been corroborated by other witnesses. And the White House has released their call transcript, the summarized version of it. We don't need to have the whistleblower tell us what was on that phone call because the American people already know. In addition, President Trump's attacks on Lieutenant Colonel Vindman are very unfortunate. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman served in Iraq. He shed his blood. He got a Purple Heart. He is an American hero, and he told his story to Congress. He should not be attacked.
All right, Congressman Ted Lieu, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Next, new reporting Republicans realize that they are out of runway on the whole no quid pro quo argument. Their new strategy in defending the indefensible in 2 minutes.
Great riches will find you when Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Wow, thanks, Oltar. How can I ever repay you?
Maybe you could free Zoltar?
Oh,